Hi everyone, and welcome to another Creepy Better Mankind video. Now I hope that my new ambient background enhances your viewing experience and puts you in a nice relaxed mood for the eerie content that we're about to delve into. Throughout history, a large number of people have disappeared off the face of the planet, never to be seen again. Now, although many of these cases were never solved and happened under mysterious circumstances, you could still come up with a plausible theory on how they might have gone missing. But how would you react if you saw someone literally vanish in front of your very eyes? Sound insane? Well, I thought so myself until I found actual documented cases of people disappearing into thin air, and many of these incidents were witnessed by other people at the time. So here are 5 people that literally vanished into thin air. Number 5, the vanishing prisoner. In 1815, in a Parisian prison located in Poland, a prisoner by the name of Dederitzi was serving a sentence for assuming his employer's identity after he had died from a stroke. Now, it was an ordinary afternoon, and Dederitzi was just one of many prisoners all chained together, taking a walk in the prison yard for their daily exercise. As Dederitzi walked with his prison inmates to the clanking of their shackles, he all of a sudden started to fade away. His body became more and more transparent until Dederitzi disappeared altogether and his glasses and leg irons fell empty to the ground. He vanished into thin air and was never seen again. This was apparently witnessed by a number of other prisoners and some of the guards at the time. Now, due to this happening such a long time ago, it is a difficult story to prove, but a riveting tale nevertheless. Number 4, the disappearance of James Worson. What began as a harmless bet amongst friends ended in a tragic mystery that to this day is baffling to say the least. In 1873, James Worson of Leamington Spa, England, was a simple shoemaker who also fancied himself as a bit of an athlete. One fine day, James made a bet with a few of his friends that he could run non-stop from Leamington Spa to Coventry. Now, knowing that this was a good 16 miles, his friends saw it as easy money and took the bet. As James began to jog at a moderate pace towards Coventry, his friends climbed into a horse-drawn cart to follow him and make sure he wouldn't cheat. James did very well for the first few miles until his friends see him trip on something and fall over, but never actually hitting the ground. Instead, James completely vanishes. Astonished and doubting their own eyes, his friends look for him without success, then race back to Leamington Spa to inform the police. An investigation turned up nothing, and James Worson had run into oblivion, never to be seen again. Number 3, Louis Le Prince. Louis Le Prince was a French inventor who is renowned for having shot the world's first moving pictures on film. Strangely, the father of cinematography is also remembered for being the subject of one of the strangest disappearances of all time. On September 16, 1890, Le Prince was visiting his brother in Dijon, France, before boarding a train to Paris. When the train arrived at its destination, Le Prince had completely vanished. The last time anyone saw him, he was entering his cabin after having checked his luggage into a separate compartment. Neither Le Prince nor his luggage were ever seen again. There had been no signs of foul play or anything suspicious during the trip, and no one could recall seeing Le Prince outside of his cabin. The windows were tightly closed, so it would have been impossible for him to jump off the train, and suicide also seemed like an unlikely option since Le Prince was planning to travel to America to get patents for his new inventions. Because Le Prince was unable to get those patents, Thomas Edison took credit for the invention of motion pictures. As for Le Prince, his ultimate fate still remains a mystery to this day. Number 2, the missing World War II veteran. Equally as enigmatic and quite bizarre is the vanishing of a World War II veteran named James E. Tedford from Vermont in the United States. Things were already a little strange when the 56-year-old Tedford came home one day in the early 1940s to find his wife Pearl had disappeared without a trace. She would never be seen again, and Tedford allegedly spiraled into a deep depression. In 1947, he moved into a veterans' home in Bennington, Vermont, and only leaving occasionally to visit relatives. After one of these trips visiting relatives in St. Albans, Vermont, on December 1st, 1949, Tedford boarded a bus home. The bus on that day was crowded, and he was seen by numerous witnesses buying his ticket and boarding a bus with his luggage headed for Bennington. The bus journey was a non-stop ride, and once on board, Tedford was seen by many of the other passengers falling asleep in his seat. However, when the bus reached its destination, Tedford was nowhere to be found. He never got off the bus because at no point did the bus ever stop. No one could find him, and yet his luggage remained on the bus along with a discarded timetable found on his seat. The bus driver and 14 witnesses testified that they had seen him sleeping in his seat and that the bus had not made a single stop, so where in the world could he have gone? Tedford's vanishing ties in with a series of weird disappearances that occurred between the years of 1945 to 1950, during which several seemingly unconnected people vanished in the area of southwestern Vermont. Since then, the area is well known as the Bennington Triangle. How on earth did Tedford completely vanish in full view of a crowded bus? We may never know. Number 1. The disappearance of Jerrold I. Potter. In yet another case, on June the 29th, 1968, 23 passengers were flying to a Lions Club convention aboard a DC-3 airliner from Kankakee, Illinois to Dallas, Texas. At one point during the flight, one of the passengers, a Mr. Jerrold I. Potter, got up to go to the restroom at the rear of the plane. When he didn't return for some time, his wife became concerned and she asked the flight attendant to check up on her husband. But she found no sign of the man. Not long after this, the pilot of the aircraft noticed a warning light flashing in the cockpit, which indicated that there was a door open somewhere on the plane. Co-pilot Roy Backus was sent to go investigate, and he soon found that there was indeed a passenger missing. Being aware that this incident had the potential to cause a great deal of panic amongst the passengers, Backus and the flight attendant calmly and quietly discussed the situation, and Backus went to the lavatory in question. He found that the exit door adjacent to the lavatory was indeed ajar, and the chain used to keep it in place was lying broken on the floor. But the weird thing was that no pressurization problems had occurred in the aircraft. Backus then calmly went to tell the pilot of what he had found. The pilot would later summarize that Mr. Potter had fallen against the exit door during some turbulence and fallen out. But this made little sense. A door opening during a flight would have likely caused mass chaos and would not have gone totally unnoticed by everyone on board. Additionally, it was found that there is no way to simply fall against the door and force it open, as the handle had to be manually twisted 180 degrees before the door could be opened. This would have been near impossible to accomplish mid-flight, especially without anyone noticing. Furthermore, there had been no screams for help or commotion of any kind. By all accounts, the flight had been very peaceful and incident-free. The weather was calm and clear, and there had been no problem at all noticed by anyone on board. Nevertheless, a full search of the plane would turn up no sign of Potter, and a subsequent search of the entire flight path would also turn up no trace of him. Jerrold I. Potter has never been found, nor have there been any concrete clues as to how he could have possibly vanished from that flight. He was simply there one moment and gone the next. If you enjoyed this video, give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click on the bell icon if you would like to receive an alert every time I upload a new video. And until next time, take care and be good to each other.